Yo, what's going on? Today I'm going to be doing a blaster guide tutorial, whatever you want to call it, I've seen a lot of guides for blasters and some of them are pretty good, but none of them are up to date, and I figured I'd put my own spin on it. So I have about 500 hours on the weapon, and I feel like I have a lot to share with it. So I'm going to go into some combos, strings, how you'd want to use certain attacks, the offstage, what characters to use, tips for characters and stuff like that. And yeah, let's get into it. Before I actually get into the gameplay and break down the weapon, I'm going to go over some of the basic fighting game terminology for Brawlhalla. First, we've got neutral light. Second, we've got down light. Third, side light. Nair, Ser, and Dare. Recovery, ground pound, side sig, down sig, in sig, spot dodge, dodge up, or any other direction with a dodge. And then we've got empty hop, which I'll probably use later. Empty hop is just jump fast fall in place. Dash jump, which is just jump dash, so like this. Pivot is whenever you use an attack and you move in a direction but go the opposite direction while you're dashing, so like this. There's a pivot. Then we've got chase dodge, which is where you hit your opponent and then you dodge, but it's a special type of dodge where you can combo off of it with certain moves. Gravity cancel, you spot dodge and then you attack, and you can get a grounded attack in the air. So, why should you play blasters? Blasters do a lot of damage per hit. They have great damage build up. You can freestyle with them. They have disjointed hitboxes, very risk-free from this range, but obviously attacks like D-Light and N-Light are pretty committal. You have one of the earliest killing true combos in the game with D-Light recovery. Kills on pretty much any map by the 150 range, which is absolutely great for a weapon like blasters, where you're getting damage so quickly that you're basically going to want to look for knockouts as soon as you can. I missed to add this before. I would also add that blasters are absolutely nuts for 2v2. They have great team combos. They're very easy to set up with. They offer a lot of stage control, and the combos that you can just convert into recovery with can kill insanely early. I'll put an example up real quick. So let's get into the actual blaster kit itself. Neutral light is a string starter. Straightforward neutral light. It's an anti-air. Pretty good for catching opponents trying to run in on you when side light's too close to hit. It's great for 2v2, and it's a great combo starter in 2v2 as well. Next, we've got side light. Side light's gonna be, in my opinion, your main pressure tool. Everyone plays blasters different, but from what I usually see, the best blasters players are doing stuff like this. Side light is a great offensive measure. It can work defensively too. You're trying to run away, you throw out a hitbox. It's a combo starter with the new changes. I'll get into those in a minute. It is very good for regressing and degressing. Next, we've got blaster downlight. Grounded downlight is pretty good. I would only use it as a punish. I don't approach with it unless I'm catching a landing, but you can also do GCD light like this, which will catch air and ground if you want to do a mix-up, because a lot of people will like to jump whenever you approach with blasters. That's also an option. It's basically going to be your go-to kill confirm starter and damage dealer. Next, we've got blaster dare. Dare's going to be a great combo starter, great string starter. You're going to get a lot of reads and reactions off of this that I'll get into later. It's just a big get off me tool that also has a lot of value behind it. Grounded Dare is also an amazing string starter. Next up, we've got blaster side air. I would say that this is arguably the best move in the kit. It has decent string opportunity at lower health and some true combos I'll get into later. Good damage. It's very hard to punish, very safe. You can throw it out when you're coming back to the wall. You don't even have to contest. It's very hard to punish. Last up for the light attacks, we've got neutral air. Neutral air is a great get off me tool. Pretty good amount of damage. It has some true combos. It has some strings. And when you're on the wall, it is very good for keeping opponents away, but also hitting them. And even just a couple of nairs can build up so much damage very quickly, as well as having the ability to juggle to the top of the map. That's going to leave us with recovery and ground pound. Everyone knows blaster recovery, insane move. You can rob stocks with it. I'll put some clips in right here just to show you what I mean. As you can see, blaster's recovery is a great move. Steel stocks, D-Light recovery is also, like I said, one of the earliest killing true combos in the game. Very good. Ground pound's very straightforward. Nothing crazy to it other than the fact that if they're sitting right here on the wall, you can clip them through it and kill pretty early. I wouldn't go for ground pound unless you know for a fact it's going to hit, but whenever you do know it's going to hit, it's killing really early. So let's get into the fun stuff. True combos. First off, with the basics, I'm going to list 4. We've got D-Light side light. Oops. D-light, in-light. Whenever you hit a combo too close, you have to in-light it. And that'll really just come with playing the weapon more. You'll get a feel for it. It's pretty good. The in-light actually does more damage than side-light, but side-light has true combos now, so it kind of negates it. Next, we've got D-light side air and D-light recovery, which are going to be your kill confirms. So, some more true combos we've got. With the new blaster buffs, we got side-light Sarah. And you can actually loop this one like a jump read like that, and it'll still hit true with gravity cancel. It's a very good string. It's super easy, especially with side-light being that easy to hit. It's just insanely good. Next, we've got side-light Nair, which is a string that works at later HP. And also gravity cancel side-light Nair at any HP as well. If they're at 0, you have to pivot it. I'll show you here. You got D-light dash jump down air. You can do gravity cancel chase dodge, but it's not as consistent as dash jump. I wouldn't really go for GC the chase dodge. I'll get into that in a minute because it's actually useful, but there's only 1 or 2 strings I use it for. So you can actually do with any blaster legend at 0 HP is D-light diagonal chase dodge in reverse nair, and that's a ton of damage. It takes a little bit of practice. If you can pull it off in a real game, it's putting them low damage really quick. There's not really much reason to use it since they added D-light side-light nair and D-light side-light Sarah at 0 as well. Those are a lot easier, but you can also do this combo. And so there's also gravity cancel ones. Obviously got nair. Gotta X pivot that. X pivoting takes a lot of practice. I won't get into it in this video. If you want a video on X pivoting in the future, I could definitely make one. As well as the pivot nair, you've also got the recovery, which is actually extremely easy at low HP. If you GC it, all you have to do is chase dodge straight forward like you're doing the gauntlet combo, and it does a lot of damage. So getting into some of the more advanced and stuff you're not going to see like all the time true combos are stuff like Dare Sair. Not something you're implementing every single game, of course. Very useful. I use it pretty much anytime I can hit it, but you do really have to play blasters for a long time to feel the HP range that you can hit it at. I'm gonna get into some of the weirder stuff here where you can get Sarah in light true. It's not consistent. I got it 1 dodge from there. I'm on 6 decks Reno, but I did hit it. So I've also tried to find a way to make Sarah D-light side-light nair true or consistently true, as it is a true combo. I haven't found a criteria to hit it true consistently. I've hit it true on 6 decks Reno. It just doesn't happen often enough to really warrant, but I would treat Sarah into downlight like an unjumpable string. Oh, there we go. There we go. It's just, there's just no way to make it truly consistent, so I treat it as a string like you're expecting the downlight to hit unless they don't have a dodge. Going to be, before I get into strings, it's going to be double nair, which isn't the most consistent thing, but if you're hitting end of blaster nair super late, you can get it like I just did there. It's basically just the end of the nair into the start of the other nair. It's something that you know when it happens. You can't really replicate it intentionally. I would treat it more as a string because it can actually like mess up your juggle. So I usually nair and then reverse it the other way when they're in juggle range so that it doesn't have the opponent jump out of my string. I didn't know this at the time, but you can actually chase dodge off of a late nair into recovery true as well. So next up is going to be strings, and for strings you've got neutral light nair, neutral light jump side air, you've got neutral light dash jump recovery, side light chase dodge recovery, you've got grounded down air into jump side air, you've got grounded down air into chase dodge recovery as well, Dare Sair, GC D-light Dare Sair, got D-light Dare GC N-light, D-light Dare GC N-light Nair, Dare, gravity cancel D-light, chase dodge Dare, Sair. Do down air into any D-light you would want, or any D-light follow-up. Do Sair N-light into Nair, Sair, or recovery, as I've shown before. Sair side-light Sair. And then finally, you can do Sair side-light chase dodge recovery. So what we're gonna get into next is blaster dodge reads, blaster reacting to dodges, anticipating movement, and learning how to juggle into a KO off the top of the map. Blasters don't really need dodges or dodge catching to guarantee a KO or big damage like other weapons do, as they have really good true combos that you can already use to build high damage. But you can hit some really cool clips or extend like hard reads into KOs that I'll give you some examples on, especially with Nair Juggle, which will basically be your win condition in terms of stealing stocks. So Blaster Dare is going to be your go-to for actually getting dodge reads and reactions. Dare actually is a very forgiving hitbox, so even if you're slightly off, like there, it's not super precise, but you're still getting the catch and to confirm. So this really comes with practice, but before Blasters got the buff of Sidelight Stare being in the game, you would have to hit a Sidelight and then jump and react to their dodge. Or you'd have to hit a Dare and then react to their dodge, which you still can do, like here. So to actually get these blaster reactions or to fine tune them, you're just going to want to set the bot to random dodge. Stay in the practice room for a little bit. So most of the time you're going to be setting with Inlight, down air like I've showed you, and Sidelight Stare now that it's actually a true combo. So you can get Sidelight Stare, you read, or react. That was a reaction. But if you catch a dodge, you'll know exactly what option to go for, depending when they're going to get their dodge back and things like that. Learn your strings and combos, and then you'll eventually be able to just... If people are going stacked with you, you're going to want to be trying to use Dare a lot. And if they're going outward whenever you catch them with a dodge or a setup tool, if they're going out frequently, it's pretty easy to react to out dodges. That was a reaction too, but point proven. It's just a lot harder to react to in dodges, as you have to be a lot more precise than like a falling Stare. Wherever you could really set it for like nearly a 50-50 here if they're just going left or right every time, as opposed to them going high or low on you. With a lot of practice and string knowledge and knowing whenever they get their dodge back, you're able to set up for some pretty good gimps, especially in damage build up. Like here, he's probably just dead. Yeah, like the more you play the weapon, obviously you'll just get more comfortable doing these things, but setting the bot to dodge randomly in the training room is going to help you at least get the reactions down. And then learning strings is going to solidify that and really get you those big damage converts that you want. In certain situations, you get bigger punishes, like if they have an air dodge, you'll get the hold 4-piece that I showed you before. Those 4 and 5 hit combos, they're doing around 60 to 70 damage, which is pretty good. If you can hit that, I would definitely take it, but it's not every game that you're going to get the exact perfect read and setup to hit that combo, as you do need to hit it 2 dodge frames to keep it unjumpable. But outside of that, reacting and then setting up for Blaster and Air Juggle is a lot easier than hitting those like intricate reads that you see. All you need to do is hit any attack and then you can go into a Nair. Using those strings and combos as in Sidelight Nair or Inlight Nair that I showed you earlier are going to be your best friend for setting up for active Nair Juggles. You like Sidelight Nair as well. Amazing tool if you can get that combo down. And if you can do that, all you have to do is basically catch like 1, 2, and then they're dead. And this is on Brawlhalla, of course, and it's on a bot. But in a nutshell, you're killing extremely early with recovery. Now that we've got dodges down and reacting to dodges, at least to a basic level, I would go in the training room and practice this for at least like 5 to 10 minutes. And that combined with learning how to do strings and combos that come with confirming a dodge, and stuff like knowing how long a dodge will last if you hit it in the air versus gravity cancel, or being a grounded dodge that retouches, is what's going to make you really lethal in terms of playing like the perfect blaster game. As obviously if you do a combo and it's just a string that they have a dodge for, you're gonna get hit because you did an attack whenever they had a dodge, so you're just gonna get punished. But going off of that, reading movement, especially how opponents like to get back to stage from in this juggle state, is going to be your best friend, and I'm gonna show you right now. So I'm gonna take you through my mind on this stock, and I got an off the top here with a couple movement reads, and I'm just gonna pretty much break down how I did that in my mental space. He burned Sidelight right here. He burnt GC, so I know he didn't have a dodge. Weapon through. That was just for coverage. I think I wanted the weapon starve him actually, but I know he's going to go stacked with me, so I backed up and Sared defensively. And it missed, but it would have hit if he didn't dodge, I'm pretty sure. And then I instantly wake up as he falls with a D-Light. And I get the 3-piece true combo, which sets me up for Nair Juggle. And I was looking for a reaction there, seeing what I could get. And I couldn't punish him, so I just fell back down. Obviously, he had a dodge. I didn't want to overcommit. But here, he still doesn't have a dodge. I catch the aerial game. And then I go for another movement read. I try to see where he's going to go. He goes farther out. So I jump, catch that, no dodge, confirmed recovery, dead. So this clip's a little bit shorter, but same thing applies where I catch him with a 3-piece. I read the dodge, and then I read the movement. I'll just let the clip roll. Alright, he tried to punish with a ground pound for some reason. So I take the 3-piece, I read the dodge. I know he's gonna dodge up. He's been doing it all game. So I hit that. I have to jump there, catches the dodge, and then he's already traveling this way, so I just assumed he was gonna keep going in. So I follow him with a chase dodge recovery, and it hits. So this one's a little bit different. I catch him with an end light instead of the 3-piece, so I'll give it as an example as well. I catch him with a Sair, and then I wait for the dodge. He spot dodges, so I react with an end light. He retouched, so all I get is Nair, if anything. And then he's got dodge back here because of retouch. So I try and see if he dodges or anything. I catch him. I didn't think he was gonna dodge. He dodged pretty late, but it's still caught. And then I have chase dodge recovery, which takes the stock. I'm gonna show you one more blaster clip I hit. We're off the top for Nair Juggle. It also had a movement read in there, and I opened it with Nair. It was a little bit different, so I figured it was worth adding. I hit him with a Nair, or a Sair. Sair confirmed in the end light. I wasn't sure if it was true here. It felt true, so I went for it. Got the Nair to catch the dodge. I get another Nair because he has no dodge. And then off of this, most of the time, if you see someone in this situation on blasters, they're going to want to fast fall this way because all he has is a recovery and a jump. So he's got to either full send upward, and in that case, you could just wait him out, or he's going to want to go retouch right away. So I read the fast fall, and then I get recovery confirmed into death. So now we're back to the training room. We're going to go ahead and get into the next part, which will be the actual legends themselves. So I'm already locked in on the Nyx, so I'll go ahead and get her out of the way. We've got her Blaster's Kit, absolutely insane force for the amount of damage that she has. D-Light Insig, unjumpable. Kills at 100 on Brawlhalla. Ridiculous Sig on its own. You can gravity cancel it off stage. I'm sure many of you have already fought this before. Side Sig got a buff recently as well as down Sig, so they also kill very early. And Nyx's down Sig also has similar properties to Blaster Downlight, where you can jump GC and it'll catch grounded and in the air. So you can basically do something like this, jump around them, GC, and it still catches. And on top of all of this, Nyx down Sig is actually great for off the top KOs. I actually had a clip with Nyx recently that would not have killed before the side Sig change, so I'm going to slide that in right. I also just wanted to add in real quick that Nyx has laid Nair into Insig and True at low HP. Next up, you've got Ada. She actually has D-Light Side Sig True on blasters. Unfortunately, I've only been able to get it up to 30 damage. But if you're hitting the second hit of the downlight into the third, it's always going to hit true from my experience. And her Insig is amazing for spikes. It has ridiculous force. And then her downsig recently got a buff, so it's actually very useful now. It has a lot of force for how easy it is to hit. And her spear, in my opinion, this might be a hot take, but she has the best spear kit in the game. Unreactable downsig, unreactable side sig, and you can hit sidelight, D-Light, and Sig unjumpable, which is just absolutely crazy. Next up is Isaiah. He also has D-Light side Sig True, but it's not as forgiving as Ada, and it only works at, I want to say like 10 and 20, maybe 20. Yeah, and you have to be very close to them, or you have to be a lot closer than you would do with Ada's. Ada's is a lot more forgiving. With Isaiah's, you have to be pretty much stacked with them. Isaiah also has slide charge down Sig into sidelight, and down Sig into reverse Nair True at low HP. Before the sidelight Sair changes the blasters, sidelight Insig on Isaiah was actually like pretty useful because a lot of people would panic dodge left or right. You can reverse it this way, you can do it this way, and it was just a great sig. It's still a great sig, don't get me wrong, but it's just kind of been outshined by the fact that you can just get a true combo now instead of trying to rip a sig to catch a dodge. And then down sig on ledge is actually kind of nasty. It's not the easiest attack to hit, but if you do hit it, it's really easy to take a stock afterward. Use dare ground pound to follow it up. And then we've got Isaiah's cannon. Isaiah's cannon's pretty goofy. Adam School is a really good Isaiah player, and if you do play Isaiah, I would watch him because he's like the innovator of any Isaiah tech that you could think of. I know you can do sidelight into Insig. The bot obviously is going to dodge, but if I got him to dodge in, he would dodge right into the Insig there. You've got side sig. It's not the greatest tool, but you can low-key rip it in neutral. It's super slow on its own, but if you dash into it, you're covering the whole stage like pretty quickly. So it's not the worst move. Just Isaiah's kind of Isaiah's cool, so we love Isaiah. So next up, we've got Lord Vraxx. He also has an Isaiah situation where he's got a D-Light side sig that works until 20, and then at 30 it doesn't work anymore. Kind of hits the same too. You have to be somewhat stacked to hit it. Vraxx side sig on blasters has a great hitbox from above, vertical coverage, so you can literally rip it like right here, and it's hitting like it hits on the ground. It's such a good sig. He has a great insig. There's a sweet spot on the top of it where you can kill very early. It catches a couple dodges. A lot of people like to dodge in here, and it'll catch that. Yeah, and then the down sig is really nice for off the topping, actually, kind of like Nyx's down sig. I can't really replicate it on a bot, but a lot of people run away. You just down sig them like that. And then onto a lance. I'm on 9 dex right now. I'd recommend 5 damage for blaster players, but 9 dex Vraxx is pretty disgusting because you do get D-light and light. You've got a great side sig, a great insig. It's very hard to avoid this sig. Side light insig's unjumpable. The D-sig, insane force. Let me just show it off real quick because this character needs it. Yep, that's why I run damage chance on Vraxx. Vraxx is basically the new Olgrim, I'm telling you. If you're a 2s player and you like Lance and you like blasters, Vraxx is absolutely crazy. Next up, we've got Cross. Cross's sigs are actually pretty straightforward. He has insig for people trying to land on you aerially. His down sig's pretty good for people trying to cross up horizontally. And his side sig has good force, and it's just kind of like a grab almost. Cross's insig can actually kill pretty early if you hit it at the top of the map. Cross also has Nair into insig true, just like Nyx. Ever since the Cross nerfs, the gauntlets are a little unrewarding for how hard the sigs are to hit compared to how hard they hit, but he's still a really good character in 2v2, and D-sig can be pretty good for sharking on ledge. Next up, we've got Cassidy. Her D-light side sig kind of hits like Ada's, except you can actually do it twice before it's not true anymore. Insig's actually a pretty great anti-air. Her side sig has a pretty good hitbox in the air as well as her down sig being great on the ledge and as a stacked option. She also has Nair insig true just like Cross and Nyx do, and she has undoubtedly the best hammer kit in the game. I could honestly make a whole video on how good Cassidy's hammer is, but this is a blaster guide, so I'm just gonna keep it simple. She has insig, which is a great anti-air. True combos off D-light like you just saw. Pretty good side sig. If you fully charge it, you get a unique version. Her down sig can be useful as a stacked option, and with 9 dexterity, you can get 70 damage through combos just like this. After Cassidy, we've got Diana. She has D-sig, it's a little bit slow, but crazy force. Side sig's pretty good for hitting people when they don't expect it. And insig's an okay anti-air. It used to be a lot stronger. Nothing too crazy with her blaster kit, but her bow kit's where she really starts to shine. She has the best bow kit in the game in my opinion. She has D-light insig unjumpable. It can spike off the wall. She has side light and a side sig, which catches a ton of dodges. Side sig on its own is a great move, and down sig is a good stacked option. Let's get into Lucien. Lucien has amazing speed and good defense, but he suffers from low damage. D-light recovery on blasters cancels this out, as you're still killing pretty early with this combo. Lucien has a straightforward blaster kit that you can get pretty creative with. His instig hits stacked, and it's a great anti-air as well. His side sig can reverse people, so if someone's ledge guarding you like this, you can just hit them with a GC side sig and swap positions. And down sig is a good get off me tool. Lucien has the best Katar's kit in the game. Insig hits stacked and covers many dodges off of inlight. Down sig is an insane spiking tool. And side sig is pretty good. Next, we've got Barraza. Barraza is a great legend for 2v2 with extremely high defense, 2 of the best weapons in the game mode, and great sig force on his combo ending sigs. He has a pretty good insig for anti-airing. These sig's also really good and has high force, as well as being really good for off the top KOs. His side sig has terrace level force. His axe kit is pretty straightforward, but the insig is absolutely godly. It can steal stocks at any HP. It's very easy to pick up with, and it has potential to reversal, especially offstage. His side sig is good force, but it can whiff. And his down sig's pretty good too, hitting stacked and having a abrasive hitbox. You can actually also GC his D-sig to hit it in the air and on the ground. Let's get to the next legend. Next up, we've got Vivi. Vivi also has D-light side sig true, and it works up until 90 health, but you have to hit the D-light very close to hit it true. Her side sig is very good in neutral and is almost unpredictable. It's extremely hard to react to, and it's extremely hard to punish, as you can often inlight it before your opponent has time to punish it and catch him with a surprise. It also has a wall variant I'll show you right now. Her down sig doesn't have much use, other than being a stacked option for blasters, but her insig is very good. You can use it to come back to stage. You can use it as an anti-air. It also has a wall variation as well that I'll show you right now. Next up is Vivi's Boots kit. She has an amazing down sig. It's extremely hard to punish. You can do a directional input left or right, and you can almost use it like a light attack in your kit. Also catches many dodges off of in light and side light if they like to spot dodge or dodge in. Next up is Boots side sig, which can work as a stacked option, but is very slow. You're really using it for the projectile. Projectile is nearly the entire length of Brawlhalla, especially if you dash it. And it's extremely threatening with high force. Her insig is similar to downsig as it's almost a light attack in the kit. It's very good off of side light and in light for catching dodges. Extremely hard to react to, and it's a great anti-air. Next up we have Thatch. Thatch has high speed and high damage with low defense and okay dexterity. In my opinion, Thatch's blaster kit is the best blaster kit in the game. You can hit D-Light Insig true, and you can actually do it twice in a row. It works up to 80 health. You can hit it from any range. As long as you hit the downlight, you can dash into the Insig. Any range is true, and it's the highest damaging true combo at 42. And then you've got Side Sig, which is amazing for team combos. It can be good if you have a big enough punish or enough time to use it. D-Sig is the only projectile in the game, or the only true projectile in Brawlhalla, and it also has true combos. I'm not going to get into every single one, but the basic ones would be D-Sig, Satellite Stare. You can do GC D-Sig into D-Light Insig true. You can also do GC D-Sig dash down air. He gets D-Light side sig unjumpable on sword. He has an absolutely crazy sword side sig on its own. You have D-Sig, which is a great stack option for sword. And then Insig is really good for off the top KOs. Last but not least, we have Reno. Reno has average stats and sigs, some pretty good tech that I can get into since this is my main. So I'll show you as much tech as I can think of at the time of recording this. Reno doesn't actually have any unjumpable strings with sigs or sig true combos on blasters, but what he does have on blasters is sidelight insig, which catches left and right dodges. So if they do revert the sidelight stare changes on guns, this is pretty good for catching horizontal dodges. Reno's down sig is very good for ledge guarding, as it's pretty hard to contest this and it's very hard to punish it. Some tech you can do with down sig is a whiff down sig into gravity cancel. If done correctly, it's very hard to punish. Like I said before, takes a little bit of practice. If you can get stuff like this down, you can bait your opponent really easily with down sigs. Side sig's really good for neutral. It's super hard to react to, and it has really good force for how easy it is to hit the sig. It also has a lot of momentum, so if you hit it farther out, it's very good in that sense, as you could basically wall carry it orange and kill. Next up, where you'll actually find a lot of the Reno tech, is Reno's orb kit. Reno has sidelight insig unjumpable. Insig is a great ledge guard tool. It catches about jump height, and it spikes at much earlier HP than you'd think it would for a legend with 5 defense or 5 attack. It can kill pretty early, as you see there. It's very deceiving, and a lot of people fall asleep when trying to run in on orb, as orb is a very mounted weapon. So standing in place with orb is pretty good already, let alone the fact that you have this amazing anti-air that covers pretty much the same spot as D-Light, but has much greater reward. This isn't a staple tech, like, this isn't something I use every game, but if I'm really unsure on what the opponent's gonna do, I would throw this out at the start of the game sometimes. You can actually inlight into down sig, you can chase dodge forward or dash forward to get an away dodge, or if they dodge in or spot dodge you're gonna think, then you could just D-Sig in place and it will catch. On top of this, D-Sig is actually a really underrated recovery tool, and it can catch a lot farther away than you think it would on the wall. So I'll pull a clip of me actually getting saved by down sig up real quick, so you know the maximum spacing you can hit it by. The second to last thing for down sig will be the fact that off stage it has a different variation, where if you're hitting someone and their head is sticking over the wall here, if you space it correctly and time it right, you can actually head dink somebody and spike them downward from over here whenever they'd usually expect it to hit like this. There's two different versions you can use. This one's good if people are trying to instantly come up. This one's good for people trying to come up onto the stage instead of going straight up if you're trying to edge guard with down sig. But edge guarding with down sig is very risky. I mostly use down sig as a confirm in some situations where you can really checkmate your opponent with it if you place it right, as if they have no more options. Doing something like that is really just going to stuff them out with nowhere to go. And then after that, this is really funky, but you can actually GC D-Sig and sometimes it'll catch the little tip there. Kind of goofy. I don't use it a lot, but if you're trying to troll your opponent, you can throw it out like this and it's very annoying to get hit by. And then the last thing I'll get into with the orb kit will be orb side sig. This is actually very good for closing out stocks. A lot of people don't expect it, as Orb's kit's very, like, not reactable, but it kind of stays in one place, you know what I mean? So Orb kind of only hits from here all the way to here, but with side sig you're instantly hitting them from this far away, and a lot of people get caught by the second hit not expecting it. I use it as a YOLO sig sometimes. And that's gonna be it for the legends. Let's get into spacing next. So let's get into spacing now. Spacing is the consciousness of how far your attacks go, as well as how far your opponents can hit you from. Basically, where you can reach your opponent without them reaching you, and vice versa. And I'm actually on this map because there's a Cody Travis video. It's a little bit outdated now, but he actually shows for newer players, which this is a newer player spacing breakdown. This is going to be very in-depth, but if you're a better player, I'll give you a timestamp to skip to right here. For newer players, you've got Blaster's light attack kit. Downlight is going to hit at this first peg to the edge of the third peg, as you can see right here with the lines on shipwreck. Downlight starts nearly stacked with you and reaches to about right here, if my mouse cursor. Inlight is going to reach about a peg and a half. It's going to reach about right to this peg. And then sidelight is going to be your farthest reaching move, but it's very close. The end of downlight hits about at this notch, and the end of sidelight hits about right here. So you're very close. It's micro spacing at that point. Knowing whenever you can punish with sidelight versus a downlight is going to be very important in that situation. That's something that better players are going to have an easier time picking up than newer players. But just remember that downlight is going to be your nearly stacked option. Neutral light is going to hit very close but not quite stacked. And then sidelight is going to be your farthest reaching option on the grounded kit. So for more experienced players, spacing is going to consist of learning how to space people out through movement and repositioning. A lot of the time when you're on blasters, people are going to want to get near you, so a lot of the time you're going to be readjusting where you are, especially with people that know how to move around dead zones efficiently, and it's going to result in you either passively backdashing into an attack or jumping around them to punish them. If they aren't throwing attacks out first, I'll give you some good ways to approach them too. One way you can space out is if your opponent has a weapon like sword and they're running at you like this, and they approach with a sidelight, you can jump up and the sidelight won't hit because you spaced it out. It won't be able to hit you anymore, so you jump up and then punish it with a down air. Or if they were to sidelight, you could cross up, which is jumping over your opponent and then doing a air. If they would land with a sidelight this way, you could do that. Knowing how to stop opponents in their tracks with Blaster's light attacks is going to help you a lot, especially grounded, because it lets you control stage, which gives you advantage and leads to edge guards. It also just keeps opponents from being able to get close enough to hit you, which is your whole plan with blasters, as obviously you have dead zones that are really easy to punish or really easy to get into, so your whole game plan is moving around them in ways that keep it hard to avoid and easy for you to hit them from, or just set up for nice punishes. So next, after that, now that you have the basics of spacing, I'm going to get deeper into neutral game and how to actually apply spacing to your normal gameplay. So blasters actually have a pretty straightforward and easy neutral game. As I've said earlier, blasters really just want to keep your opponent away as far as they can and space them out with light attacks. You want to try and hold your opponent in a disadvantage state, which I've already gone over before, where disadvantage state is basically anytime you're comboing your opponent where they can't hit you, or you can hit them before they can hit you. And this consists of things like blaster juggle, or getting a dodge read on the ground and juggling it with dares and stuff like that, where you're just trying to hit your opponent for a cycle and keep them away from you, or keep stage so that they have to come to you at all times. So many moves in the blaster kit are so safe that you can just play back, and a lot of the time opponents will either get frustrated and approach you. They'll often panic and whiff. If they aren't doing this, you can often pressure them with sidelight and neutral light to keep them on their toes, as say this Magyar was standing here and I'm off stage like, or near the corner of the map like this. If I'm over here, I have a lot more threatening coverage than the Magyar does, as I can dash sidelight really instantly and get a true combo off of it. Where say if Magyar has something like hammer, all he's really going to get in this situation is a dash sidelight, or he can't really approach with a D-light as D-light is so close range. Most weapons are obviously going to be at disadvantage state in the corner of the map. While this is also true for blasters, blasters have a lot easier time doing with it, as they can just fall back on the wall and jump Sarah, or they can just dash forward sidelight as I showed you before, where most weapons don't have an instant option like this that is hard to react to or is easy to out prioritize as blasters, where a lot of the time on other weapons you're throwing a hitbox out that also threatens your own hitbox or hurtbox, but with blasters you're disjointed, so being at this part of the map actually isn't that bad for blasters, as you can still be really oppressive from this side of the map. But just learning how to abuse these ranges against certain weapons is what's going to help you a lot in advantage state with blasters, as well as maintaining advantage state and outspacing players in neutral. Blasters can easily become one of the most annoying weapons if you learn how to do this correctly, and a lot of the moves in the kit, as I've already said, are going to space them out. So some of the moves that you can use if people get close to you are down air and neutral air, which are very good for people trying to cover aerially or come in grounded, as a lot of people like to approach with a sidelight on most weapons. So if someone sidelights like that, you just jump over them in down air. Say they're playing a weapon like lance or cannon. If they're coming in aerially like this, then you're going to want to neutral air them, just falling there, or contest it with a side air to keep that aerial zone in your favor. As you want to think of blasters like a big bubble, that if they get into this bubble, you're basically going to be daring or end lighting anytime they get near. But don't panic too much, because people want you to panic on blasters, as that's whenever they find the most punish in. People are often going to bait your dead zones or dash in and dash out against you, especially with blasters, because so many of your attacks are high committal, such as D-light and N-light, where you're stuck in place for such a long time if you miss them. And dead zones on blasters are basically the spots where you have to reposition your opponent or around your opponent to hit them, or you have to reposition your character so that you can hit your opponent. Blasters' biggest dead zones are going to be this 45-degree angle that a lot of players like to sit at, especially with a weapon like Katars, where they're just going to be able to Katar dare on you every single time. So to counter this, you want to do something like jump dare or just backdash it, and then if they dare, you're just going to back up and then end light it. Or just hit them with a downlight if you're quick enough, but Katar dare can be really hard to punish, so I just take the easy option and go for an end light. And then your other blind spot on blasters is going to be this stacked area. The only way you can hit this is by jump daring. That's very uncomfortable, because downlight actually isn't consistent enough to use as a stacked option. As you can see here, it does not hit stacked anymore. It used to hit stacked, but it doesn't anymore. And then your last dead zone is going to be above you, directly above you. You can't hit them on blasters. They can just fall on you like this. So that 45-degree angle straight above you and stacked is where you're going to want to avoid. You're going to want to basically do this by either repositioning with a dare, backing up with an end light, or if they're jumping over you, if they keep going aerial with you, you're just going to want to do like a jump fast one there, and that'll catch. But these are obviously high committal. You're better off trying to move away and then checkmate them afterward, instead of contesting a move like Katar's end light or Katar dare, where the attack is so fast and it's just super hard to beat out at close range. So what you're going to do against that is poke them whenever they're trying to dash jump, or test you whenever you're like trying to see if you're going to attack or not. You're either going to just want to poke them out of it, or you're going to want to back up and then see what they do next. I'm going to put myself on Magyar. Say the Magyar is running at me, and then they're getting like right here, and then they're not doing anything else. Like they're staying right out of my dead zone, or right out of my range right here. Say like they're in this area where I don't really have anything that can consistently hit them. From here on blasters, you're either going to meet this with a jump Sare whenever the Magyar jumps, or you're just going to catch their landing. If Magyar's up here, this is Sare range for blasters, because jump side air is going to hit right here. And then if you want to catch their landing, which is a little bit safer but higher commit, then you're going to be doing something like dash up end light on guns, like I just did before. Or if you want a big damage punish, D-light is a little bit slower, but you can get more damage off of it, obviously. If they're trying to contest you horizontally like this, sidelight is where you're going to be able to bully them into corners really easily. Sidelight's going to be what you're going to want to use to contest that, as there's not many moves in the game that can beat it. But there are some attacks such as bow downlight where they do slightly outrange you, so just be cautious of moves like that where they can chip at you with a little bit more room than sidelight can. And you don't always want to approach with sidelight, but if you're trying to hit someone out of baiting you, then it can work. Just don't do it every time. Another option you have if someone is backdashing and backing up on you. Say this Magyar is running up on me like this, and then they get really far away. What you can either do is, what they're trying to do is get you into a corner and make you panic, or they want you to panic attack whenever they're running in and out of your hitboxes. So he's trying to get you to do something like dare or end light, which is exactly what you don't want to do. So in that situation, similar to sidelight, if you know they're just going to run up and bait, then you're just going to want to follow them. If you can walk them down and catch their movement off of that, then you're able to really catch their tracks, and you keeps them from aggressing you, and it puts them in their place pretty much, as they'll be more scared of aggressing you in that situation. So say they're running in and out of your dead zones here, just all over the place. Blasters are really going to benefit from catching movement, understanding how to reposition yourself to punish others. You're just going to want to keep checking them with sidelights and downlights so that they don't get confident like that. And then once you start doing that, you can start playing your offensive on them, which I'll get into right now. So being aggressive on blasters. Being aggressive on blasters is mostly going to come from the fact that you can walk your opponents down really easily with certain long-ranging moves, and your attacks have high priority and low commitment in some situations, which leads to being able to throw out many attacks before your opponent can punish them. Being aggressive on blasters is good for checking opponents that like to run you down, as a lot of the time with blasters, your biggest weakness is going to be opponents that are able to really get close to you or just keep you from being able to start your offense. So getting in a position to start your offense or keep them at distance while aggressing and hitting them is going to be a lot better than them coming towards you and then you trying to hit them as they aggress. Moves like sidelight are going to be your best bet for running people down, as you can check them in the corner and you can just keep your opponent, like I've shown you before, in check at neutral. So your best offensive tools are really going to come down to sidelight, which is just you're very safe, hard to react to, easy to approach with option. And then Sarah as well, which is going to string into some moves like Inlight and Sidelight, which gets you this big damage walk down punishes, where if you're able to catch someone that's really abrasive like this, if they're dodging out, then you could just Sarah them into a read or Sarah them into a confirmed attack, which that's where a lot of your damage is going to come from on blasters. Tipping your opponent out like this is what's going to lead to a lot of damage build up really quickly and set up for early knockouts like you just saw there, where you're just walking your opponent off stage with moves like Sarah, Dare, and stuff like that, which I'll get into off stage later in a higher level. But basically just anytime you can blow your opponent into a confirm or just walk them down, in that sense of knowing they're going to dodge away, is just so strong for blasters. Since blasters have a lot of moves that take a lot of time to recover from, like D-Light and Neutral Light, where you're stuck in place for so long during the attack, a lot of people are going to try and run away from you and bait these attacks out. Your best bet is either walking them down through moves that keep you aggressing them, such as Side Air and Sidelight like I've showed you before. On top of this, a lot of people like to avoid Sares by either jumping the minute that you're going to Sare. If they time it right, they can jump it. As you falling Sare, if they jump up, I'll show you a way to deal with that. A lot of people also like to spot dodge, so if it's really obvious that you're going to fall with the Sare here, if you're just doing this and this, they'll just spot dodge the Sare like that, like I could right here. To actually deal with this, what you're going to want to do, it sounds really straightforward, but it's a lot harder to apply it in game, as you're not thinking about landing with a Sare, you're just doing it. You're going to fall down, run up, and then wait. And then a lot of the time it's going to throw them off, and they're mostly going to spot dodge. So if you run up and wait like this, and they actually do dodge, then you can get big confirms like I've showed you before, where now he has no dodge, and then you get a juggle that I already went into. But if whenever you fall down and you know they're going to spot dodge or something along that line, then if you wait and then you actually catch them with D-Light, Dare, and Light, this is one of the highest damage punishes you can get, as it does more than D-Light, Sidelight, and Air, and it sets up for juggle about the same. Stuff like that, just knowing, having a consciousness of what you're actually doing on the weapon is going to help you a lot in terms of aggressing, because if you get too head over heels, then you're just going to whiff and they're going to punish you in your face. If you have like a subconscious feeling that they're going to spot dodge every time you falling Sare, then you could just fall down, wait, and then get your dodge punish, and then set up off of that. So to actually deal with opponents that like to jump after you're falling Sare, obviously if you time this right, you're going to hit them out of the jump, but there are some situations where the jump will make it whiff. But if you're fighting someone who likes to jump as soon as you're trying to go for a falling Sare, then what you're going to do is fall down and then wait and then try and get a nair off of it. If you're hitting them at the peak of the jump, it's going to set up for juggle and the nair will catch. Sometimes you can even get double nair because of how late you're hitting the nair, but it's not really reppable, it's just something that can happen. Anytime you're setting up for that type of situation, you're just going to want to run up to them and then wait and then try and catch them with a nair or a Sare. You're just going to either run up, wait, and then nair whenever they jump, or Sare whenever they jump. But there's also other instances where you're trying to put pressure on your opponent and they start to jump the minute that you run up to them. I've already shown you can mirror this with a Sare, but what you can also do is jump fast while nair, and if it's done right, you're going to catch them like pretty consistently. I've never had an issue with it, but it is a little bit more committal as it only catches straight above you, so just be mindful that that's an option that's pretty good, but it does need to be a hard read to some extent. Nair is a good tool for that, and then Nair is also going to set up for some of those other types of conditioning and setups that I'll get into later, with making opponents react a certain way to how you aggress them and causing opponents to be uncomfortable as Adapting and conditioning is what I'm going to get into next, where right before that, I'm going to get into this, with this last thing being actual offstage and corner pressure on blasters, where you can actually thrive on the weapon. They only have 3 options here, which are basically dodging your sidelight, jumping, and then standing still, or trying to attack you. But standing still and attacking are usually going to result in the same thing, where you're hitting them with a sidelight. Good players are confident, and if you run up to a good player, they're usually just going to either spot dodge if they really feel like you're throwing it out. At the beginning, a lot of good players are just going to stand still and ignore you, as they feel like they have better spacing and they just don't feel like they need to move here, as they're going to think that you expect them to fold and hope that you go for a jump read where you're going to whiff a Sair and then they get punishes. Your options are, if they jump, obviously like I showed you, Sair. Your next one is going to be sidelight, which catches if they try to attack you or if they just stand in place confidently. And then the last thing is going to be waiting, running up, waiting, and then just baiting and trying to get them to do something, which is kind of similar, where you're trying to get them to either spot dodge and put pressure on them, where you get that big damage confirmed that I showed you before, or just waiting for them to attack so you can get a free punish again. Basically the same thing, just spacing them out so that they don't hit you, but making it seem like they can hit you in this corner situation where it's going to lead into big edge guards. This also pushes them off stage, sets up for good strings on blasters and stuff like that, and this is like your perfect situation, exactly where you'd want to be on blasters. Like I said, one more time, you run up and don't attack, bait a dodge or bait an attack out, wait here like this, put pressure on them by not attacking, but you can put a pressure on them without attacking and just existing, as you can hit them from pretty much here, dash sidelight, or all the way up here with end light and down light and dare. So you have so many options to hit them with here, and they have to come back to stage and regain stage control here. Baiting them to attack or baiting them to dodge here and putting pressure on them by not attacking necessarily, but just existing within zones that you can hit them from. And then reading a jump as well with just a Sair, which can lead into some other jump and not jump reads that I'll get into later. And then the last thing would actually just be them running off the stage, as if they are really trying to survive or just not get hit, they could just run off the stage on you. And if that's the situation, then you get free stage control. I'll get into some really goofy spammable blaster edge guards you can do to make the weapon even more annoying, but from a basic standpoint, you're just gonna have to worry about them jumping, them dodging, and then you having to react to the dodge, or them trying to attack you or do nothing, where if they don't do anything, just attack them. And then after this, we've got adapting and conditioning your opponents. So adapting and conditioning your opponents is basically adapting, you're just paying attention to their movement options and reading them, which I've already gotten into at a base level, but I'll just go a little bit deeper with this. And then conditioning your opponents is actually just straight up manipulating your opponents to do what you want them to do and forcing them into certain dodge habits and movement habits that allow you to get higher damage punishes later, or just open them up to get hit late game. So adapting to your opponent really is a deeper level of reading, where you have things like movement in mind and you already know what they're going to do to some extent. As sure, with reads you're getting like 1 or 2 hits off of knowing what they're going to do, but with adapting, this really means like what they're doing and then what movements they do afterward. As so a good example would be the bot always jumps off stage, so an adaptation would be me hitting the bot with a satellite Sair and then knowing they're going to dodge away because I have the bot set to dodge away. That's adapting to like a habit that an opponent would have. And so after he dodges away, I catch the dodge and then I catch 2 more jumps because the bot always jumps, which you're adapting to. Like if a normal player jumps a lot off stage and stuff like that, you get the same type of reads like that. You can't really do that off a reaction, but that's something you really just have to anticipate and call out whenever you can. But it's not something that reacting to is going to cover, because with reacting you're basically doing it as soon as you can, or you're just trying to get something that you can punish in the moment, but you already know what they're going to do if you're adapting to your opponent. It basically just means paying attention mid-game and trying to see what habits they bring out and then work off of that. So let's put him on dodge left now. If I neutral light, and every time I neutral light he dodges in like that, then an adaptation would be something like this and then you get confirmed. Or you could do something like this and then now he's dodging left, so you already know that he jumps every single time you hit the bot. That's adapting to what the bot would do, because you won't normally get a GC sidelight there, but I got a jump read, so I did. Already having an anticipation on what they're going to do, which you're only really going to be able to do from like preemptively playing against your opponent and playing them to the point where you're conditioning them, which I'll get into right next here. But you're basically just going to pay attention to what your opponent does, especially whenever they're in disadvantaged state, as you may not be able to get a read right away. Say I've hit this guy twice in a row with a blaster neutral light, and then every time I neutral light him he's dodging this way, right? So the third time I go to neutral light, this time I Sair and then I get the jump. It's just being ready for the habit that they keep showing you over and over and over. And this is what's going to lead to those big damage confirms that you see all the time, or leads into longer reads and stuff like that. That's it at a basic level. I've already shown some of the stuff with how to adapt and read dodges and react to them. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into conditioning, which is basically how to set up for these type of interactions with your opponent. So conditioning, basically putting your opponent in situations that make them panic, or doing the exact opposite where they become so comfortable that they just stop dodging altogether, which is really good against blasters sometimes. But if you just start catching people that aren't dodging against blasters, you can get so much damage really quickly. The best example I can think of off the top of my head is neutral light, where a lot of people are going to dodge right away off neutral light. But if they see that you're going for these reactions after and you're not doing anything and you're trying to catch a dodge, like say he dodges up here and then I react to it and I get a juggle, he might just stop dodging altogether. And if that happens, what you're going to do is just go for a nair after and then go for the string. And a lot of the time after that second or third hit that you hit them with in the string, they're going to start dodging again. And then that's when you start getting the reactions that I taught you before. Just basically setting up to react to a dodge by hitting them with a string whenever they think they're safe to not dodge. And then another example, whenever Sidelight had no true combo, Sidelight Sair was actually a really good thing to condition them with, because Sidelight Sair wasn't a true combo. So a lot of the time if you get the Sidelight, they're not going to dodge it, and then you just get Sidelight Sair confirmed because they're just not dodging. But now it's true. Before that though, you just Sidelight, and then if they don't dodge, you're going to Sidelight Sair them. This was good because it just set up for confirms that you couldn't usually get. As off of Sidelight Sair, you can get something like a reaction to a dodge, because most people are going to panic dodge here, and then you just get a really easy reaction. But conditioning is going to come from the fact that you're setting them up with something that makes them comfortable, because they see you trying to react to a dodge here, so they're not going to do anything. And then when they think they're safe to not dodge, you just start hitting them with the strings I already showed you before. And that's how you get those big reads you see, because you're putting them in a situation where you don't have to catch a dodge to get a confirm, because they're just not dodging anymore. But in the heat of the moment, there's a lot harder to do, because you're not thinking about them not dodging unless you're really on top of your game. Those are going to be the things that set you apart as a blaster player. Just knowing whenever your opponent doesn't feel like dodging, and recognizing that you can punish it by just doing the string that you already know in the first place. And this applies to every weapon, or every string weapon I could say, because a lot of people just get lazy and don't want to dodge against you, and they're just ready to hit you. So you can start hitting them pretty much right away, and then the more they panic, then the more dodge reads and reactions that you can get, because they're going for these panic dodges that are usually really easy to punish. Off of that, let's just get into offstage play right here. So next, I'm going to get into offstage with Blaster's kit and show you how to use it effectively. Sair is mostly going to be used to send opponents downward and catch jump reads. Sair is also going to be used to catch jumps and space opponents out in different situations than down air can. Nairing opponents is going to be good for catching opponents trying to dare you, or just hit you off of the wall whenever you're off stage. And then ground pound is pretty straightforward, you're just going to be using it to confirm KOs off stage. And so the best way I can actually go about describing blasters off stage is just going to be by clip reviewing again. So I'm going to roll through a bunch of offstage clips I have and break down what I did to get KOs and how I use each part of the kit. So here I just set up with some side airs, and then he wastes a dodge, so I do that instant guaranteed. And then I go for a ground pound when he only has recovery. Then for this one, I catch some movement reads and a dodge, and then I convert this into satellite Sairs, where he wastes an attack and then I just ground pound again. This one's a little bit more advanced, so I'm just going to break it down bit by bit here and show you what happened like exactly. Alright, and so for this clip, he goes for a gravity cancel insig, which means that he doesn't have a dodge for a long time here. And I capitalize on this with a dare, and I catch a jump read. And then since he only has a dodge and recovery, or he doesn't have a dodge, he only has a jump and a recovery here, I just go for another jump read, which leads for a GC downlight and a Sair. And then this guy keeps jumping, so I chase dodge down air, which catches of course. And then he finally has a jump again and a dodge, but he didn't dodge and I just Sair, because if you falling Sair off of a dare, it can catch jumps. So it's very risky, but in situations like this where I have nothing to go for, it's the only thing you really can do other than double dare if they go low. So I just falling Sair to catch the jump here and it kills. And so for this one, this guy just whips the side light, which I punish with a Sair, and then I didn't get anything, but I did punish the side sig there with a dare, because it's basically stacked. That's the situation where you're going to want to dare. If you try and ground pound, it's not going to be fast enough, as you can see right here. If you just try and ground pound this, you're just not going to have enough time to attack. So I had to get the dare there, and then he You try to recovery back to stage, I snipe it with a side air, and then I read a jump here and I get another Sair, because he only has jump and recovery, so all he can realistically do is go up there or just get hit on the way down. And this is the last clip I'm going to show you here, where a lot of the time on blasters, you're mostly only going to be getting offstage hits if they keep jumping, or you're reading jumps with blaster dare and Sair. Because any other move, it's similar to gauntlets, where if they just fast fall, you can't really catch it outright, and you basically have to set up to punish them on their way back if they do that. If they're going really low, just come back to stage and then attack them on their way up, because then they're going to be forced to jump at some point, and they can't just stay on the bottom of the map forever. But to start this one, I punish a Sair, and then I get a sidelight Sair convert, and then he recovered in my face, so I catch a dare, and then I catch like triple dare, and then all he has now, he has jump, recovery, dodge, but he's only really going to want to be able to go straight up here, because if he goes away, I can just catch him on the other direction. And I'm guessing he's trying to avoid my dare, and I catch this to the GC side sig that kills. Yeah, with blasters off stage, most of the time you're just going to be reading stuff like that, where you're just getting continuous jump reads, or if you know they're not going to jump anymore, just go back to the wall or on stage, and then punish them with a dare or ground pound whenever they're out of options. And so that's all you really need to know about blasters off stage game, but we're just going to go ahead and close this video out with matchups, such as good matchups and bad matchups, things like that. So most of the matchups, or what blaster matchups are going to revolve around, are your dead zones, and how easily weapons can exploit them, or just how much range control blasters can have over certain weapons. Some of your bad matchups are going to come from things like Katar dare, Scythe dare, Axe Sair outranging you, pretty much just any diagonal such as Cannon dare, where you're just trying to oppress or trying to aggress people, but their dare can just beat you out and make you reposition anytime you want to. For Katars, a lot of the time they just want to get close to you, and your priority on blasters is going to be to keep them as far away from you as possible. As I showed you earlier with spacing out Katars, or just playing spacing in general, really consists of just punishing baits or baiting them into getting punished easily. And with Scythe it's a little bit trickier, as Scythe dare can kind of walk you down, so you have to really be careful of dares just coming straight at you, and a lot of the time you're just going to be better off moving out of the way of a side dare than trying to contest it. Orb dare, you've got a similar situation, but orb dare is a lot less committal than side dare, so you have to really watch for that, especially off stage. And then for bow, your biggest weaknesses with bow are the fact that they have a grounded anti-air on you, which can be very good. Scythe has the same thing, and so does Axe, but with bow, your neutral light's hitting so quick and it hits so far up that blasters can't really down air to approach them. If blasters wants to approach from the ground, then you have to watch out for bow downlight, which outranges anything blasters could want to do. Cannon isn't terrible, because cannon downlight's the only thing that can really have a ton of range over you, but that's with a lot of matchups in the game that cannon has. And then cannon dare, things like Axe sidelight also outranging you is really annoying, because blaster sidelight can whiff and then Axe gets a free sidelight right afterward, which makes the matchup very annoying, because every time you get sidelighted you're taking nearly 30 damage. Axe down air and Axe Sair, also Axe down air just covers vertically over you, which can be really annoying for the blaster player. And then Axe side air just outranges anything blasters would want to do in the kit, or it out prioritizes it, as you may not have as much range as a blaster's attack, but if you're swinging an Axe Sair at the same time and blasters are sidelighting or downloading, your Axe Sair is going to hit first and punish them. And then finally is just chakrams, where chakram dare is so oppressive it's so hard to avoid it. As of right now, where chakrams are the best weapon in the game. This might change in later patches, but as of right now, chakrams is crazy matchup, because they have crazy vertical game, and it's really hard to reversal chakrams off the top of the map, because chakrams is just much better at it than blasters is, even though blaster is probably the best weapon in the game for it. So some of your good matchups on blasters are going to be weapons that you can wall out really easily. This is going to consist of things like Cannon's horizontal game, or Hammer's horizontal game, and Boots especially, where Boots doesn't have crazy walk down like I would say Katars and Gauntlets do, where once you're stacked you're only really inlighting, but it's a lot less oppressive than those weapons, so Boots has bad matchup against blasters in my opinion. You could also throw a Lance in there as well. So Cannon, Hammer, Boots, and Lance, usually gonna have a really hard time with blasters, where if you can space them out correctly they shouldn't really be like oppressing you, unless it's just a good player obviously, but those weapons are what are gonna have good matchup against blasters. This really stems from the fact that you can wall them out. They can't really do much about you spamming sidelights in terms of what other weapons can do, like Axe sidelight can punish it completely. With that being said, Any weapon in this game can be any other weapon, and it really depends on things like spacing that I've already went over, and just outplaying your opponent with reads and stuff like that, where any opponent can be any legend. Some weapons just have a harder time doing it, and vice versa. So to summarize, we went over the basics of Brawlhalla, why you should play blasters, blasters default weapon kit, some true combos, some strings on the weapon, how to dodge read and how to react on blasters, how to juggle with blasters aerial kit, overviewing legends such as Nyx, Ada, and Isaiah, the basics of spacing and higher level spacing, some neutral game, how to apply spacing, dead zones, playing aggressive, playing offstage, adapting and conditioning opponents, and then moving into matchups such as bad matchups and good matchups. And yeah, if you liked the video and you found it helpful, please like and subscribe and comment, as any of these things helps out a ton. And if you want to see more guides in the future, just stay tuned for more content. I appreciate it a lot. And you can find my username on TikTok as well at GlockRoachBH, or my Twitch at GlockRoach8. Alright, peace.